Thank you for joining us for Weekdays Live with Reverend Al Sharpton. Take the time to share this broadcast right now. Tell your friends it's time to keep it real with Reverend Al. Comment your questions now in the chat or call Reverend Al Sharpton directly on air at 877-532-5797. Now stay tuned for Reverend Al.
What time it is? It's Al Sharpton's time. And for the next 3 hours, it's time to put aside all pretenses, deception, denial, or fronting. The time has come to keep it real on Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. A very good afternoon to you all across the country. And good morning to our West Coast listeners. Welcome on Sirius XM, Channel 126, The Urban View, where talk empowers and becomes action. I'm coming to you live from our National Action Network corporate headquarters in New York. And for the next 3 hours, you can participate in this conversation, and you'll be heard nationwide. In fact, you even heard globally. All you have to do is call us at 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. We're also on live stream at www.nationalactionnetwork.net, www.nationalactionnetwork.net. You can go on there and hit the live stream, and you can post a message to me right as we are doing the show, and I'm reading some on the air. I see Mary Goodman already hit me. Hey, from Greenville, South Carolina. Hey, back to you, Mary. Others are coming on. Happiness Donuts. Listening from Wisconsin. Rev would send me some hearts. Okay, because I don't eat donuts. And got Georgia Daniel from Toledo, Ohio. So people are coming on live stream. We also are on the YouTube at YouTube/NAN. So much to talk about. And I really, I missed a lot of the broadcast yesterday because I was speaking at the funeral services of NAACP stalwart Hazel Dukes, who I've known since I was 13 years old, been partners in the struggle. And really, I had 2 funerals this week that meant a lot to me. I did the eulogy at Roberta Flack's funeral, who I met when I was 13 as well, when I first was appointed youth director at Operation Breadbasket under Jesse Jackson in New York. And Roberta came supporting the AMP boycott we were doing. As I'm preparing now for our National Action Network convention, and with a boycott we gonna call there. I've been doing boycott since I was 13 years old and was assigned how to do them in New York. And I met Roberta Flack then. She was a hot artist then. Not long after meeting her, she came out with that album, Quiet Fire, and went to the top. And never stopped supporting the movement, never stopped coming doing Black Expo for Operation Breadbasket, and then when it was Push, and then later from when I started National Action Network, she would come to all our events, host stuff for us. So I was very much in really reflection about where we were then, where we are now as a people. And then Hazel Dukes, who I met around the same time, she was just in the NAACP. She was in Long Island. And I thought about that yesterday. I gave reflections at her funeral. And I thought about, here are 2 women that I've known most of my life, 57 years I've known both of them. and saw in their own ways, one a superstar and the other a super advocate. I think of how, in my opinion, we have progressed and regressed. We've gone forward and then moved backwards. And when we were most active, when we were most staying out each other's way and everybody working their lane, we gained more and we were able to quantify what we were gaining and hold on to some things and move on to the next. When we were played against each other, oh, I'm militant, you moderate. When I'm NACP and you, I'm Panther, I'm young, you old, all of that. That's when in the division that they were able to snatch stuff back from us. So as I'm looking at this, and we're about a little under 3 weeks from National Action Network's convention, as I'm looking at this, they got some of us to fall asleep or turn away in some rationale that I'm voting for Trump because I like his swagger. I'm voting for Trump because Democrats ain't done nothing. Or I'm not voting at all because the Democrats ain't done nothing. And in that confusion, they got just enough that they could win Pennsylvania, where Philly and Pittsburgh alone had enough blacks to turn that around. They could win Wisconsin, where Milwaukee and Racine and others could have turned that around. They ran the tables, and some people actually thought they were punishing the Democrats by letting them lose the election of Kamala Harris. Okay, Democrats was punished. They lost the House, lost the Senate, Supreme Court was stacked against them, now the White House. Now you got a president who turned the Rose Garden of the White House into a showroom for Elon Musk's automobiles. Like a cheap salesman in a showroom at a mall somewhere. He's got Musk's cars, Tesla, lined up in the Rose Garden of the White House, talking about which one he would buy. I mean, you couldn't make this up on a skit on Saturday Night Live. To literally standing up in the grounds of the White House, talking about, I like the red Tesla. Oh, no, I like this one. Oh, let me sit in here and show you. I can't drive. Secret Service don't let me drive. A commercial. And the news station's running this. While this man, I'm not just offended by the commercial, while this man that he is raising as a great figure is terminating federal workers en masse, just terminating them en masse. So much so that a judge today said he cannot fire all them workers. Federal judge, he can't fire all them workers. You have McMahon, Secretary of Education, saying my job is to close the Department of Education. Well, why you want to close it? Well, there's too many people incompetent and inefficient. Okay. So you're going to close it and replace them with competent and efficient people? No, let the states decide it. That's what Trump said. Okay. Last time the states decided that was pre-1954 Brown versus Board of Education decision, which says that the states cannot have laws on education that discriminate against people. So what you're really doing is overturning Brown versus the Board of Education. And you going back to states deciding state by state how to run education. I'm not making this up. Trump said this. And his Secretary of Education has repeated it. So you already got Florida saying we're going to ban black studies, black history, slavery. We're going to talk about LGBTQ, all this stuff. Texas saying something else. Mississippi saying something else. And before you know it, you'll be back in pre-1954 America because you wanted to punish the Democrats. And now we're told that they're going to put tariffs on Canada and Mexico and China, and it's going to cause an inflation and a recession. And Trump's not even denying that it may cause the recession. Stock market's been going down, eggs has been going up. And this is the guy that said he was going to solve it all on the first day. But you wanted to punish the Democrats. So go to the store and try to buy some eggs and see how many Democrats you punished. To hold the Democrats accountable is applaudable and should be done. But to engage in political masochism, that's all it is. A masochist. I'm going to hurt myself to hurt you. That's like you getting in a fight with your partner and say, I'm going to cut myself to show you. Pardon me? You showing me what? Your blood? Let's take a break. We'll be right back. Let's talk about it. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Sharpton, keeping it real.
Thank you for joining us for Weekdays Live with Reverend Al Sharpton. Take the time to share this broadcast right now. Tell your friends it's time to keep it real with Reverend Al. Comment your questions now in the chat or call Reverend Al Sharpton directly on air at 877-532-5797. Now stay tuned for Reverend Al.
This is Reverend Al Sharpton. As you watch the broadcast, support National Action Network. Go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net and be involved. You can join, take your membership right online, www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Getting ready to start the program, but we need you to be part of the movement.
So who is Al Sharpton anyway? Who is this 33-year-old preacher without a church?
A number of black New Yorkers as well. He is little more than a pudgy exhibitionist who can be counted on to show up, bullhorn in hand, at every racial incident.
I often quote Mark Twain saying, the two most important moments in life is the moment you are born and the moment you find out why you were born. I had a very troubling conversation the other day that prompted me to do this little video. Young man that I've known a while came to me and he was crushed. I mean, really crushed, because people were criticizing his work. He's in the ministry, but he's also an actor. And he said he couldn't understand why people were jumping all over, criticizing him, trying to find scandalous and derogatory things about him. And I told him, I said, you know, you very young. You don't know the road I've traveled. They call me everything but a child of God.
A blabbermouth, a loudmouth, too flamboyant, an agitator, a racist,
and I had to learn.
Yeah, right.
I was not defined by how others saw me. I was defined by how I saw myself and whether I was being true to myself. Some of you watching this don't like me. And it doesn't matter as long as I know what I'm doing and I like me for being real. So I'm doing this video to say to you, whoever you are, and whatever you do, you may not be in ministry or social justice, none of this stuff, but don't live your life worried about opposition or people that don't like you. You can turn that around. Use me as an example. The same people that called me a scam artist, a con artist, a sellout, or racial hustler and all, I kept going. And the people I respected started respecting and publicly embracing my work.
When Coretta Scott King, the widow of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., had this to say about Al Sharpton.
A leader who has protested injustice with a passionate, unrelenting commitment to nonviolent action in the spirit and tradition of Martin Luther King Jr. And I am talking about your leader, our leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
The other thing that hasn't changed is the National Action Network's commitment to fight injustice and inequality here in New York City and across America. And that's not only a testament to Reverend Sharpton, it's a testament to all of you who are here tonight.
First and foremost, to Reverend Sharpton. I saw him when he first came on the scene, and I have marveled at his tenacity, at the development of his intellect, and his devotion to our movement, and much he has contributed to the world we are experiencing. I am honored, and I must say that when I had my debate with Dr. King on the issue of the church and religion, he didn't warn me that after his departure, his space would be filled by another preacher, and that preacher would be Al Sharpton.
All you want in life is people that matter to you to say you did all right. And more important, that you can look in the mirror and say you did all right.
Thank you, Rev. Thanks for that introduction. Look, we've known each other for a long time. I'm grateful not only for your leadership and partnership, but quite frankly, more importantly, for your friendship. And thanks to all of you, members of our nation's most important civil rights organization.
You have been, over all of your years, such an extraordinary leader. You are a voice of truth, a voice of conscience, a voice of practicality around what we must address and what we can do. And I thank you so much for your friendship.
I remember that most of the youth around Al's age, he was about 12, wanted to be like Connie Hawkins, a great basketball player, legend, or Earl the Pearl, or Clyde Frazier. Al wanted to be like Adam Powell, a powerful preacher with a social justice gospel. He was very close to, at that time, to Reverend William Augustus Jones, powerful preacher and social justice advocate, and Reverend Gardner Taylor State right down the street, and Bishop Washington, whose church he came from, and Reverend Sandy Ray. He wanted to be like these giant preachers. He wanted them to have the edge, however, of the King's social justice dimension. He wanted to be like them, now he's one of them. Perhaps taller than most of them because of the risks he has taken and the reward God has given him with his gift. I remember so well that first escorted him to jail. He was around 13 years old, with the jail fighting the ANP. He was in the lineage of our struggle. He grew up in it. We didn't just see him on TV one night. He didn't happen. He came bottom up, not top down.
Hi, this is Reverend Al Sharpton. Be ready for the National Action Network's National Convention, April 2nd through the 5th, 2025, in New York at the Sharpton. This year, and the 57th anniversary of the assassination of Dr. King, they're trying to take back everything he stood and died for. We convene every year in April to make sure they know that they killed the dreamer, not the dream. We have workshops on everything from business development to dealing with our legal needs, from police reform all the way to how we deal with sentencing, how we deal with immigration, how we deal with the arts and entertainment. We have big names that come every year, but don't come for the big names, come for the big plans and the big execution. Register now, because with this year, as we are under assault with DEI, under assault with ending the Civil Rights Division of the Justice Department, under assault with now consent decrees and all are neutralized. If there ever was a time that you should come to a National Action Network convention, now's the time. We don't need a lot of philosophizing. We don't need a lot of showing how smart you are. We need action. We plan action, and then we go and do action. I'm looking for you. Go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net. We have no registration fee. You don't pay to register. Just get here, and let's get it on. National Action Network Convention, April 2nd through the 5th. I'm going to look for you there.
Beyond law, I love you. Beyond life and see the ways that God has brought you. Oh, anybody? National Action Network Live with 107.5. Dr. Al Sharpton.
No justice, no peace. What do we want? Justice. What do we want? Justice.
Where you go? But yet text shows us that the root has lost purpose because the Almighty has made my life bitter.
Nation's capital. But what the world sees being
A gift of $500. So God bless you.
keeping it real, keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton. And let me tell you, I just ran down some of the stuff we're facing domestically, not to mention internationally. Zelensky sat down, worked out a ceasefire agreement for 30 days with the United States, even after he was disrespected and slapped around the Oval Office and wouldn't back down. Now they go to Putin, and Putin, I had one person send a message on Norman E. Keating put it this way. He says, this is on our live stream page, sent the message. Putin rejects the agreement. He wants the war to continue and also rejects Ukraine's membership in the UN. Putin aid rejects, and he sends the article on. Putin has said, not only am I not going to agree to a ceasefire, I'm going to go and put on my fatigues and go to the battleground and show y'all I'm going to keep fighting. That's what I think of Trump. So he can drive a hard bargain that he wants the land he wants this, he wants that. So if you deal globally there, you deal with Trump has said he wants to move the Palestinians off of the land in Gaza and turn Gaza into a Riviera of the Middle East. That's what all you non-voters or people that voted for Trump brought us now. So I've talked to you about from the domestic side that the government may shut down tomorrow night to they've already now started disbanding the Department of Education. They've already said that they are firing thousands of federal workers. That's what you got. That's what you got. So let's talk about it. Ramel, you were the Democrats. I am with making sense. Nobody challenged Democrats more than me. I've not supported them, but I would support something else, an independent or something. But I ain't never left myself open that we getting nothing. So let's talk about it. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797, twitter.com, The Rev Al. Or go on live stream at www.nationalactionnetwork.net and send a message on our message board there. Or you can go to YouTube/NAN. Let me say by way of announcements that don't forget, and I've been working very hard getting the right senators and the right congressmen and the right mayors on Politics Nation with Al Sharpton, particularly this weekend, if there's a shutdown on the government or not. Don't miss Politics Nation with Al Sharpton, 5 p.m. Saturday and Sunday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time, live both nights. It's not the same show. They don't repeat Saturday's show Sunday. I go in the studio live both nights. So if it's up to the minute, and I've got people that have some sway. People ask me, why don't you have so-and-so and so-and-so of so-and-so college? Because I don't do conspiracy theories. I do facts, and therefore this is what we're going to do about it. Now, I'm not saying some of the professors in our community are not wise, smart, and good, but I don't want to hear theory when they're firing us, when they're upping the price of our food. I want to talk to the people that I can challenge and say, what are y'all going to do about this? So watch Politics Nation. And you that are in the New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut area, meet me or beat me to the Saturday Action Rally. I'll be there Saturday, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. at the House of Justice in Harlem, 145th Street and Lenox Avenue. 145th and Lenox Avenue. Saturday Action Rally. You that are not in the tri-state area can watch it live on Impact Television. And I tell everybody, the reason when we started National Action Network, 1991, 34 years ago now, that we call it the Action Network, is I try to give a little historical context and then say this is the action plan. We started for action. Now, there are some people that are academicians, and they're good. You ought to listen to them and hear them. There are some people that are good with theories, and you ought to hear them. But I'm about action. I don't care how smart you are, how much you know what happened in thousands of years ago. If it does not end with, and therefore we're going to do this about it, it means nothing. And we have too many activists out here that are not active. We have too many people out here talking about whereas and never get to therefore. Whereas we were the people that did this, that, and the other. Yes, we are the people. Now, why are we in the condition we're in now, and what we're going to do about it? I want to have that discussion. That's what I do every Saturday morning. Whereas they are taking DEI just like they did 150 years ago with so-and-so. And did you know? Yeah, I know all that. Now, what are we going to do about it? Who are we going to make an example out of? So talking about example, that's why you should be at National Action Network's convention this year. We are less than 3 weeks away, April 2nd through the 5th, and it's free. We have a whole, unquestionable amount of people coming that is going to be speaking and telling us what action they're going to engage in and action that they want us to engage in nationally. Everybody from Attorney Ben Crump to Dr. Michael Eric Dyson and Stacey Abrams and more and more. We having, as I said, District Attorney Alvin Bragg, who convicted Trump of the 34 felonies. We're going to have Tish James. We're going to have Hakeem Jeffries, who should be the speaker. All free. And I'm going to be releasing the schedule tomorrow. I believe it'll be ready. But you can register right now. A few thousand have already registered. Go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net, www.nationalactionnetwork.net, or call the toll-free number right now, 1-877-626. I'm sorry, 1-877-626-4651. 1-877-626-4651. And we're gonna leave there with an action agenda. I think we ought to pinpoint a company, put them on notice, be ready to boycott them, and not know just one day or a few days, but until we have them comply with what we come before the convention and say, we want to know these things as it relates to our community. Well, Ramal, we can't give race figures no more. Trump has given an executive order against that. Okay, then fine. Then we won't buy your product, and we'll call your name and we'll crusade all over the country on it until you comply. Just that simple. We're going to choose a company, stay right on them. It took a year for them to win the Montgomery bus boycott. I like when this man named Schwartz, I think is his name, started the one-day thing last week and said that we were with it, and I didn't contradict it. Y'all go with it. I like he did that, and now that some of the ministers in Georgia are doing Reverend Jamal Bryant, who I love, 40-day Lent during the Easter on the department store, on Target. I like that. But I'm going to pick one of these national companies and challenge them, put them on notice at the convention. And if they won't come forward, they say we can't. Donald Trump says it's against the law for us to give racial figures, good. Then we'll go into court and we will stop buying your product. I'm just waiting on our National Action Network Commission to tell me which companies are the most guilty. We'll be dealing with that at the convention. So go to 1-877-626-4651, 1-877-626-4651, or go online to www.nationalactionnetwork and sign up for the convention. You do 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, whatever you're going to do, I'm going to be looking for you. Let's take a break. I'm coming right back, going to the phones and reading some of your messages on live stream. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back.
The more you grind, the more you realize that people look and behave exactly like the choices they make every day. Whatever your choices are, how you eat, how you exercise, how you handle your temperament, how you handle challenges, whether you're disciplined, all of that is reflected in how you appear and how you behave every day. Your daily choices. That's why no matter where I am and no matter how much I have to do, I stay on my grind, working out, watching my diet, and trying to deal with my temperament because my behavior is a reflection of my choices that I make every day. And I don't worry about people being in opposition. People that oppose you are the ones that believe in your power and your potential more than anything. If they would oppose something that didn't have some force and power with it. So make your daily choices carefully and be very loyal and committed to the choices you make. I had a thought this morning that I wanted to share with you about mentorship. I am able to do a lot of what I do because I had great mentors, but there are correct ways and incorrect ways to mentor people, in my opinion.
I was mentored as a boy preacher by Bishop F.D. Washington, one of the great Pentecostal preachers of his time. Then Reverend William Jones became my pastor after Bishop Washington died, who was unquestionably in the top 5 black church ministers, theologians. Reverend Jesse Jackson, who I started my activism under his leadership, he and Reverend Jones. And I learned politics directly as a youth director from Shirley Chisholm. So even though I didn't finish college, I had the most unique education in the world from being exposed to giants. But the one thing I learned is as I grew older and people started coming younger than me and wanted me to teach and mentor them, the magic of the mentors I had is they did not want me to be their clone. They wanted me to learn things from them and use my own gifts and talents in my own unique way and let me do things on my own, because they knew that if I flopped in some things, it would teach me for the other things. They'll come and help me once I was down, but they were not going to have me avoid being down. And they were not going to impose themselves on me. Why am I saying that? Because too many mentors want clones. And too many mentees want their mentors to put them on a pedestal. Oh, so-and-so didn't do this for me. Oh, so-and-so didn't open doors for me. If they got to open doors for you, it may mean that they knew you weren't ready to go through those doors. Their job is to prepare you. Your job is to develop your own skills, your own unique ways. And I don't care if it's my daughters, who both have come into their own, or anyone else. I'm not a talent agent. I did not form National Action Network to give people their step up. I formed it to fight for justice for everybody. If talented people get in, it's my job to invest and give them a platform. It's their job to get on the platform and perform and show their ability. Sitting with me today in the office as I talk about is one of my mentees, Reverend Stephen Marshall. Now, Stephen, you just came around us when you were how old?
11 years old.
11 years old. You just turned 40 and now you're called to the ministry?
Yes, sir.
And what do you do in National Action Network?
I formulate policies, lead in various regions, but most importantly, I senior advisor to you on all things from social justice strategies, politics, intergovernmental affairs, you name it, community organizing, all of that stuff.
And I could go through scores of others. My daughter started Huddle. They got Huddles now, which is for young people to meet once a week all over the country. I just saw the video from the Las Vegas National Action Network chapter. Now, when you decided to preach, did I ever tell you to become a preacher?
Not one time.
Who called you to preach?
The Lord.
All right. And did I say go to this school or that school?
No, sir.
Did I open this door, that door? Did I tell you be ready when the doors open?
Always be ready and prepared.
And that's what I'm saying. Get you some young people than you that you can help along the way. But don't be their talent agent. Their talent must speak for themselves. And anybody that grumbles with you about so-and-so didn't do something for them, maybe it's because they didn't feel you were ready, or that they felt if they did it, you wouldn't do it on your own. But we all don't live forever. I want the next generation to speak of me, of National Action Network, and others, the way I speak of Reverend Jones and Bishop Washington and Shirley Chisholm and Reverend Jackson. But I just don't want young people to feel that somebody ought to give them the reins of leadership or give them the reins of business or whatever it is you're in. You need to learn from their journey, get the pearls of wisdom from them, but don't have them do for you, because then it means you can't do it for yourself. Work is required. And if we can't stand up now, you got a president in the White House that has said outright, I'm not going to have diversity. Outright said he's not going to deal with the question of racism. Outright said he's suspending anything that guarantees that we're going to deal with the question of racism. In fact, he said they are oppressing white folk. What Trump said. And you are not saying nothing, and you in the pulpit, well, every prophet in the Bible, everybody in the Bible prophesied and preached according to the time in which they live. There are no out of place prophets. There are none that God sends to discuss what happened or what's going to happen. He uses them to happen right there. Moses didn't preach about Abraham. He got the strength from the lineage of Abraham to lead the Exodus. What will they say? Board at our live stream page. Let's start with Deborah. Deborah in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Good afternoon, Al Sharpton.
Good afternoon.
I wanted to know whether the HUD budget is in the stopgap bill, specifically Section 8. If it isn't, is it in the Department of Education budget, and how will Section 8 be affected with Trump closing down the Department of Education?
Well, thank you for your call. Good question. I think that the Department of Education closing down will not directly deal with Section 8 housing. Indirectly, it will, because obviously, if you've got the states now deciding, if they get away with this, if they are deciding now on education, that affects the hours and the caliber of teachers and all of that, which impacts those that are living in Section 8 housing. In terms of the Section 8, in terms of the actual HUD budget, HUD is in certainly what the Congress has to deal with. Where and how it's cut, do not think it's been specified, but it definitely is part of the stopgap, no doubt about it. Let's go to Pam, the extraordinary activist in Chicago. Pam, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Thank you. Hi, Reverend Sharpton. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. Overall, I am well, but disgusted, but never giving up, and just always believing that, and you and Reverend Jesse Jackson always says this: when we fight, we can win. If we don't fight, we know it's going to happen.
Right.
So I'm always willing to fight and just put any and everything on the line. I thank you for what you said, Reverend Sharpton. All of those people who talk that big talk, well, I'm mad at the Democratic Party, so let me vote other or stay at home. But we now know that was all a ruse, because you've had callers come on here and just push the propaganda of the conservative Fox, I don't even call it news, just Fox Lives. You had a caller that said that Trump was colored. Do you remember that, Reverend?
Yeah, I do remember that. Yep.
I mean, so the craziness. Now, I'm going to ask you, what happened to all of those individuals that said, well, if we don't get reparations, no vote, we should hold our vote for reparations? And then the sexual abuser and the Nazi saluter, they come around and talk about reparations for white people and how they wanted to give the land back to the white owners in South Africa.
No, wait a minute. Wait, just hold it right there, Pam. I want you to make that point slowly. Sure. You are not being facetious. Donald Trump said verbatim that white people should be getting reparations and that white people have been biased against. All of you that said Kamala Harris and them should be out there talking about reparations for black folks have not opened your mouth. Call me now. I wish we'd saved some of them callers' numbers so I could call them on the air and tell them, get from under that bed. I found you. Because this is ridiculous. You hit a real good point there, Pam. Go ahead and finish. I had to interrupt that because I remember 2 or 3 of them calls. They must have been paid to call because I haven't heard from them since Trump got sworn in.
I appreciate it. Thank you, because they've called here in Chicago, too. So I haven't heard anybody on that reparations front come on here and talk about the reparations that he wants to give to white people. And then, do you recall that the transgendered issue? We don't want our girls playing sports with boys, and that's problematic. And, the transgender people go into the bathrooms and rape our little girls. Reverend Sharpton, I'm willing to bet if you went and checked the stats on anybody who was molested in a bathroom, a child, I'm willing to bet the majority of those perpetrators were, guess what, straight adult people.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
See, so they want to just filter all of this. You're worried about your daughters playing sports with transgender people. Are you worried about your daughters and your women being raped?
Well, and if you're worried about your daughter being raped, then why would you vote for a man that has been convicted in court of sexual harassment of a woman? I mean, that's what didn't make sense to me. If you worried about that, then you gonna vote against a woman for a man that the courts found guilty of sexually molesting a woman, and that you saw a video of him saying the way you deal with a woman is grab her privates. And I'm cleaning up what he said.
Yes. And thank you, Reverend Sharpton. And also, let me just add this. Now, our mayor, of course, was called to testify, and I was so proud of him, Mayor Johnson. I was so proud of him. But I also noticed this, the head of our Fraternal Order of Police here in Chicago, John Cantazzaro, who is a straight-up racist, who is a supporter of the sexual predator. He was also at the hearing. So I'm bringing it back to Chicago, and this may be happening all over. We have a group of people who used to call themselves, community activists and civil rights leaders, and they like to brag about marching with Reverend Dr. King. They are now working with these hate groups who are now supporting the Republican Party and the sexual abuser in office, Reverend Sharpton.
Wow.
It is serious out here. It is very serious. And I'm going to call this name, as much respect as I had for Alderman Tillman. She was a supporter of this sexual abuser.
Really?
Yes. And her son has a Martin Luther King Republican Party. That's one of the reasons I would come on your show and ask you to have the King children to make a statement, because they would also want to, and they want to quote Dr. King, and they would almost want to imply that, well, he used to be a Republican. And if that is indeed the case, he certainly wouldn't be a supporter of this administration.
No.
That is trying to run a coup. So I'm saying, Reverend Sharp, there are so many things, and you can talk to some of the pastors here, and they'll tell you, Reverend Hatch, he'll give you what's going on, because it really is disturbing. But thank you for challenging those who didn't want to vote, but now they don't want to come on your show and say anything, because we see what's happening.
Well,
and here's my request of you. Please ask, I'm going to call her President Harris, because I believe she won the election was stolen. That's just me, Reverend Sharpton. You're not putting that out there. That's just my opinion. Ask her to please do a victory tour and just say, I told you so. I told you so.
I definitely will ask her that. I definitely would ask that.
Please, we need to hear. Thank you.
Thank you for your call. As always, good to hear your voice, Pam. Let's go to Jason in Cleveland, Ohio. Jason.
Reverend Sharpton, what an honor to speak to you. First of all, thank you for the call. Such an honor to speak to you. Honorable Reverend Sharpton, I had a question, comment, and I will be brief. Question, comment. I see that, as a culture, as a people, we should be supporting what you are putting out there and only buying from companies or organizations that are supporting us. And I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing the people, not in mass.
Right.
I understand that individually we may be seeing it, but my thing is, what can we do to put this big campaign out there? We need to be doing this.
Well, I thank you for asking that. You're absolutely right. Thank you for your call. That is why we're going to fine-tune it at NAN's convention and identify one company at a time, give them our demands, give them the time period they got to answer, and then we do national campaign all over this country. Don't buy that product. I'm going to give them the chance, and I'm not talking about forever and ever. I'm talking about a week or two. Answer these questions. I'm going to notify everybody at the convention that this is what the commission has come up for. We want to zero in on this company. And then if they, in the next whatever period of time they give, 2-3 weeks, do not come with the response or come ducking with, we can't answer that because Trump won't let us analyze race, then fine. Now we call boycott till you do, till you answer our question. You can't answer our questions on how many black contractors you're using, blacks in the C-suite, black advertisement. You can't answer all of that stuff? Fine. We can't answer. You want specific dollars, but you want to generalize what you're doing in our community? No, that's not going to work. And that's the only way. People talk about, well, you know, they're making laws against diversity. They had laws against integration till they closed down the Montgomery bus boycott. I mean, have we forgot who we are? We are the children of the people that in the capital of the Confederacy made them change the laws. Now all of a sudden, you got some con man off Fifth Avenue and some South African car dealer that done spooked you out of who you are. Let's take a break. 1-877-532-5797. Sharpton, keeping it real. Be right back.
Country, talking to the radio announcers, the church people and the street people, telling them that God has smiled on me. God has smiled on you if you got breath in your body. If He woke you up this morning and started you on your way. But I want to tell you some stories of people that God smiled on. We know the story of Dr. Martin Luther King, how he started way back in Montgomery, Alabama in 1955, trying just to get dignity, trying to get respect. And he went all the way to the mountaintop. But he didn't forget about the brothers in the valley. He didn't forget about those trapped in the alley. And I hear Brother Martin King say, God has smiled on me. He's been good to me. Let me tell you, God has smiled on me. It's been so good to me. Then I see as Dr. King went on, another man stepped into the forefront by the name of John F. Kennedy, who rose up and said, let's not stand back. Let's not wait for a handout. Let's wait for a way out. He said, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. He said, don't us gravel and don't us moan, because God does smile on us. Let me say it. God has smiled on me. He has set me free. Let me say it. God has smiled on me. One more time. I want to say this song. I'll say God has smiled on me. He has set me free. Pick it up. God has smiled on me. I feel it. Then I went on backstage at the Apollo Theater and I saw a man come out. They call him the King of Soul, James Brown. And James Brown said, Reverend, don't you worry. I started out as a shoe shine boy. I started out as a convict. I started out uneducated. But I learned to sing my song. And I sung it all over the world. I told him it was a man's world. I told him about the big payback. I told him Papa got a brand new bag. And all over the world, they can hear my voice. But Reverend, don't you frown. Don't you bow your And she said, son, even though we don't have much, we don't need relief. All we need is belief. And she said, he didn't tell you no lie, because the Lord will take care of you. God sits high, but he looks down low. And every time you get discouraged, every time you're burning down, all you have to do is think of the things that God made a way for you and look toward the heavens. Lift your eyes to the hills and say, God, 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 don't smile on me. Now then, the God has smiled on me. He has set me free. God has smiled on me. That has been so good to me. Yes, he has. I say, God smile on me. He has set me free. And I know all over the country, smile on we need jobs. We need a way to make it. We need help. We need jobs. We need a way to make some money to feed our families and raise our bread. We need a way to survive, so we don't need crime as a survival kit. We just need a little bit. But don't give the hope up. Don't lose the faith, because God will smile on you. God will give you the strength. God will make a way for you. Adam Craig Powell said, keep the faith. Keep the faith, baby. I hear Robert Kennedy saying that it's not the dream of, but it's the dream that'll live on forever. Just know that God will smile on you. Dr. King had a dream. Dr. King said, I went to the mountaintop, but I didn't stop there. I looked over and saw the promised land. I hear Brother Malcolm saying, don't sit on the stoop. Stand up and be a man. Respect yourself. Be somebody. Then I hear the brothers in the Hispanic community say, I'm going to stand up and be a man. I'm going to do the best I can. I had a reaper say, I don't care what time you come home, but just give me some respect when you get there. Now God has smiled on me. He has set me free. God smiled on me. You've been so good to me. Sit down. And as we move on in history, let us remember that if we look to God, God has the answer to all of our problems. God is still the same God he was years ago, and we can still make it. We can still hold on like Frederick Douglass did. We can still keep him on like Martin Luther King did. We can still ride on the way everyone that made it did. They didn't have much, but they had a whole lot of faith. They didn't have money, but they had a lot of determination. We know that God will look out for his children, that God will make a way out of no way if you just keep the faith and refuse to lose. And God will make a way, because God's children don't have color. God's children just have will. And I can still hear somewhere in my mind James Brown say, God has smiled on me. He has set me free. Let me sing here.
Thank you for joining us for Weekdays Live with Reverend Al Sharpton. Take the time to share this broadcast right now. Tell your friends it's time to keep it real with Reverend Al. Comment your questions now in the chat or call Reverend Al Sharpton directly on air at 877-532-5797. Now stay tuned for Reverend Al.
This is Reverend Al Sharpton. As you watch the broadcast, support National Action Network. Go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net and be involved. You can join, take your membership right online, www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Getting ready to start the program, but we need you to be part of the movement. No justice, no justice, no justice. What do we want? What do we want?
front of a grand jury. No justice.
And now, America's #1 civil rights leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
You're live, sir.
Keeping it real, keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. And let me read. Willie Wilson Jr. says, afternoon, Reverend Sharpton. No justice, no peace. David Paul said, blacks don't really talk about doing anything for ourselves. Somebody always has to do something for us. I don't know what blacks you talk to, David. That's all we talk about here, including what we make. You know, one of the most backward thoughts to me is when you tell people about let's build our own businesses and let's own things in our community and vote. No, man, what you voting for? That you're asking. You can't build a business if they don't clear it at City Hall and give you a business district. Stop playing with yourself. We need to do both. In order to do for ourselves, we need to engage in what will allow us to do for ourselves. So quit being a trawler for Trump. Unless we control some of these political offices, you will not open a store nowhere. Unless you deal with the Department of Commerce, you will not have any product on the shelf that you manufactured. So stop playing with black folks. You got the right one. You want to argue about all that, call me on the air. I debated all night long. Because you can't just decide that we're going to do for self without you being able to do for self based on the context of where self is. Let's go to the phones. Let me go to Rodney, the mayor of Queensbridge Houses. Mayor Rodney Jones. You keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Good afternoon, my shepherd. How are you?
I'm doing very well. How are you doing?
Oh, man, I was in attendance on Monday at Abyssinian for Miss Roberta Flack.
Oh, you were? Okay, great.
Yes, sir. I was there at AME Zion yesterday.
Great.
You
went to both.
When you give the order, I'm there. You know what I'm saying? So I represented, man. You know, you always do your job and you lay it down, and you know, it's just awesome. To them two queens that you spoke about. You know, it was I couldn't. Oh man, awesome. But Rev, I just want to get to this one subject about the families in Altadena, right? Where is it at as far as do they have is a lawsuit pending or with State Farm or whatever? Because State Farm, right, during the NFL season, State Farm showed their commercials, right? And they they have a guy named Jake who's a black dude who works for State Farm, and they use Patrick. They was using Patrick Mahomes. Now that he's not the Super Bowl champion, it's Jalen Hurts. So what I'm saying, like the NFL always been showing these commercials. As long as they haven't settled with these black homeowners, State Farm need to be like boycotted. NFL shouldn't be using our black athletes in their commercials. And we ain't going to take care of these people. These people need restitution. They need restitution. What State Farm does is it's criminal.
Yeah, it is criminal.
I remember my mom. I remember my mom passed away. She had John Hancock. We all had John Hancock when we was growing up. When she died, she missed maybe one payment. They didn't honor her stuff. We had to come out of pocket and pay for my mom's funeral, yo. This is what these insurance companies be doing, Rev. And it's egregious and it's outrageous, Rev. So I don't know what's the status at with the family.
I know that the lawsuit has been filed. Some of them are represented by Ben Crump, and I'm sure he'll report on that at NAN's convention. and some of them are coming to the convention from Altadena. And as you know, I went out there, and some of them are represented by other groups, and I've invited all the groups to come so we get a full report. I do not know which insurance company they were dealing with, but we'll get all of that at the convention. But you raised an excellent point. And when I was out there during the memorial service for the 3 blacks that died, and the insurance stuff being handled by the lawyers, I'm telling you, I've never seen. I've been to Goma, Zaire, to go into Rwanda when they had the disasters there in '94. I went to Haiti several times. I've never seen nothing as bad as I saw out there. And and people just turn to the next issue. Trump is just got everybody so reaction to him. People have forgot all about these people out there that are victims. That's why I said
right. That's why I brought it up, Rev. Thank you so much for updating me on the. Love you, Rev. I love you, my chef.
I love you. Thank you for your call. Let me go to Ray in Cincinnati, Ohio. The Buzz, Ray.
Yes, sir, Rev. Thanks for taking my call. Rev, before I ask you this question, let me say this, and this is just my opinion. I think Trump is compromised by Russia, and I'll leave it there. But you had mentioned when you started your show this morning, you laid it out how the Democrats, they're people, voters are like, well, we're going to punish the Democrats and all like that. Rev, you laid it out fine, but I don't think there's not enough pressure put on the House and the Senate.
Right.
They're allowing him to do, what he can do, what he's doing. Threaten a primary, a Republican when it's the voters that put those Republicans in there. You have 219 or so members of the House, and you have 53 Republican members of the Senate, as if everyone will lose their job if all Trump and Musk has to do is say, I'm going to primary you. I mean, that's ridiculous, Rev. But, here's my question to you. With Trump not acting in the best interest of America and the things that he's doing and how he's handling this Ukraine war and turning allies against the United States and eliminating federal jobs, I asked earlier this week, late last week, Rev, have you ever heard of any president eliminating hundreds of thousands of jobs? And you said no. But after everything I just mentioned, if the Democrats come back and take the House with everything Trump has done, are those impeachable offenses?
I don't know. I don't want to say something I don't know. I don't know if they're impeachable offenses. I think that clearly the Democrats can take the House back and revert some of his orders by passing legislation. But I do not know if they're impeachable offenses. I tell you, this is Attorney Jennifer Jones Austin will be on in a minute. I'll ask her. That's a good question.
Okay, I'll listen.
All
Thanks,
right.
Rev.
Thank you for your call. Let's go to Leon in Dallas, Texas. Leon.
Good afternoon, Reverend Al.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, excuse me. First thing I wanted to ask was, did you get those 3 books that I left for you when you were in Dallas?
I think we have them. I haven't read them, but we do have them. Because when you called me the other week and asked me about them, I asked my traveling staff, and we do have them. And I'm finishing about 4 books now, and that's right behind it. I'll read them. I keep a stack of books. I read a stack. I'm glad you thought enough to bring them, and I'm going to read them. I promise.
Okay. Yeah, something to do on the plane when you're not asleep.
Yeah.
But you said something real profound, and I think the best person I've heard put it was Roosevelt when he said the biggest fear is fear itself.
Mm-hmm.
When you were mentioning that we're hesitant to try to fight for our rights.
Mm-hmm.
And we have less obstacles now than they did when they went across the Edmund Press Bridge, or when they had, King wrote the letter from the jail, and we should be more eager to fight now.
And the only reason we have more is because they did that. With the plan you talking about, Black Business Development, you sent us, and I mean, they had Reverend Leon Sullivan built a whole Freedom Plaza in Philadelphia 50 years ago. So they look at you like you a visionary. What was he talking about? This is not new. What you talking about is what we should be doing and should have continued. If Leon Sullivan could build Independence Plaza in the 60s, why can't Leon build something in Dallas? What's wrong with us? Hold on a minute, Leon. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. Keep it real. Sharpton. 877-532-5797. Be right back. Stop telling yourself you're not confident of what you could do. When people with half your skills and a quarter of your talent have gone on to create big waves in life, if you look at them and you know you're more gifted than them, then what is your problem? You are looking for someone to come and drag you into success. You've got to use what you have, which is, in my judgment, more skillful than others I've known in your areas. Use that and believe in that, and your confidence will build up as you get going and start doing. And don't chase the spotlight. Sharpen your skills. Live in your purpose. And you'll get so good the spotlight will be chasing you. Be so good they can't help but talk about you and put the spotlight on you. You don't get your energy from chasing the spotlight. You get your energy by chasing your purpose. The spotlight and other adulation will come with it. Have a great day.
Reverend have
done this work. I've been with Reverend all these years. Over 47 years, children.
That's right.
Every time Reverend went to jail, I went to jail.
That's right.
Right here in this very hall, we decided we was gonna tie up. New Jersey, New York, I sat in the tunnel. Me and Carl Bragg, 32 BJ, got arrested. Me and Reverend, and they put me in there, brought me a bologna sandwich about 6:30. I started beating on the wall. I wanted pizza. So then we got Kelly and they said, put Dukes and Sharpton out of here. But they didn't know we was gonna stay till everybody come out.
That's right.
So me and Reverend, we had C&E in the corner. They couldn't move. We stayed there. So when I went before the judge, that was my third time, the late Michael Harder said to me, Hazel, don't come back to the courthouse no more. The judge gonna put you in jail. When Reverend came back from Puerto Rico, I was there.
That's right.
To meet him and greet him. Ain't no need of you coming here on Saturdays, wasting Reverend time if you don't go out and vote this time. This is our moment. So I said, I'm going and voting, I'm coming back by here to see Reverend. Because I don't know what the 5th is going to be. Because he said he comes like a thief in the night. So I didn't wait till the 5th. I woke up this morning with freedom on my mind. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Love you, Ray.
Love you. Hazel Dukes. 92 and still on the front line. Good God Almighty.
She earned her crown. Let Hazel rest now. She can put down her cross and pick up her crown. You did a good fight, Hazel. Stand up and get crowned. Stand up and crown Queen Hazel.
No just stand strong. No just stand strong. No just stand strong. What do we want? What do we want?
We are the sons and the daughters. We gotta stand up and make it loud. Just like our God told the Pharaoh, let my people go, go. We are a new generation from the ones who have come before. He's calling us into freedom. Let my people go, go. We gonna shine at the shade. Give me a papa God rain, make the heavens. If you don't say you know what trouble, let my people go, go. The blood, sweat, and the tears that we gathered through the years. If you don't say you know what trouble, let my people go, go. Wade in the water, we did wade in the water, children.
Thank you for joining us for Weekdays Live with Reverend Al Sharpton. Take the time to share this broadcast right now. Tell your friends it's time to keep it real with Reverend Al. Comment your questions now in the chat or call Reverend Al Sharpton directly on air at 877-532-5797. Now stay tuned for Reverend Al.
This is Reverend Al Sharpton. As you watch the broadcast, support National Action Network. Go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net and be involved. You can join, take your membership right online, www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Getting ready to start the program, but we need you to be part of the movement. Some of the stuff you did about killing me softly and all, but I like it. When you did that song, I told Jesus, it'll be all right. You can change my name. Because that's what we had to do.
Growing up, a black girl in a white man's world, she changed her name. Growing up behind the cotton curtain, she changed her name. They said she wouldn't be nothing. She became something anyhow. She changed her name. She refused to be put in a category. She refused to be reduced. She refused not to be the regal queen she was. And because of her, if you plant seeds, even if they don't understand, those seeds will grow. And Roberta Flack planted seeds. And when we looked up, Lauren Hill grew up.
Reverend Sharpton, Leon held over. Leon, as I was saying, the reason I believe you can do the project that you are planning to do, and I'm going to get deeper into it and want to help you do it, is because Leon Sullivan did this in the 60s, Independence Plaza in Philadelphia. Somewhere along the way, we lost our sense of who we are and let other people tell us what we can't do. I mean, and the minute people can convince you that they're the ones who can define what you can do and who you can be, you lost before you get started.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I am working on that African American business directory that I talked to you about before.
Right.
I'm working on that, and hopefully I'm going to have an update for you.
All right.
As to how it's going to work, and we'll talk.
All right. Let's
now
talk.
a lady mentioned Section 8 and housing.
Yeah.
And ironically, I just happened to be looking at a news article, and it was talking about how Elon Musk and Scott Turner have frozen the funds for HUD.
Scott Turner is the new secretary of HUD, the only black in the Trump administration, and they've frozen the funds. Okay, so that's the answer to that.
Now, that's the answer to that, and uniquely, that's the position that Ben Carson held.
That's right.
In the previous Trump administration.
Right.
Okay, so we get these token Negroes, and of course he's going to follow along with whatever Elon Musk says, or he'll snatch the leash. And what they do is they get in office and they give an illusion that there are some of us who actually, let me rephrase that. They give the illusion that what they're actually doing is great because they point to Scott, or they point to Clarence Thomas, or they point to Tim Scott, and saying, well, they're supporting us. And it's this damn what we do, because the lion's share of us don't support that stuff.
That's right.
It's just those who get the I never get this word right, who benefit from being the token colored person. And there's not much I can say other than that the FCC would not take me completely out for. But I think the listeners understand these people in this day and time are doing damage to us, and that we're going to have to be more serious, more intense, just like they are. Just like they're energetic, they're intense, they're moving forward. We can't be afraid to move forward to defend ourselves after a 400-year history of what we've been through.
That's exactly right. Well, keep me abreast. Give me the updates. Thank you for your call. Let me bring on my co-host every Thursday for the last 90 minutes of the show. She is, of course, the CEO of the Protestant Welfare Agencies in New York and the vice chairman of the national board of the National Action Network, and she's playing a critical role in our convention in 2.5 weeks. Attorney Jennifer Jones Austin. How you doing, Jenny?
I'm good. Glad to be with you this afternoon and with everybody who's listening and calling in.
Jenny, President Trump and co-president Musk has brought us to the brink of with their Republican operatives, that are elected to the Senate and the Congress have brought us to the brink of a government shutdown. Explain, you're the policy wonk of this show. Explain to the people what a government shutdown would mean to us specifically for most of the black community, because what impacts the whole country is one thing, and then there are more injurious things that affect us. Break down what this shutdown means, because you got people talking about, well, they talking about the shutdown, I don't need to watch that. Yeah, you do.
Oh, absolutely. So what happens in a government shutdown, let's first begin by appreciating that a government shutdown results when the Congress has not passed measures that allow for continued spending of the government's resources. So essentially, you have the Congress has to create a budget. It has to be approved by both the Senate and the House, and then it has to be signed off by the President. And then you've got spending attendant to that, appropriations for everything from schools and Department of Education and Title I funding to funding for infrastructure repairs to Social Security. And what happens in a government shutdown is that it's like only essential services are continue, meaning that essential services related to national security, public safety, and public safety does include things like emergency medical care, traffic control, law enforcement, border security, that type of thing, disaster aid. Those things will continue, but then it becomes questionable about what things will not continue. During a government shutdown, employees whose work is not considered to be essential, they stop going to work. You could have people who are working in the Health and Human Services agencies who are responsible for making sure that Medicaid is administered properly, that they could be considered not essential and they have to stay at home. That could mean that you don't get funding for Medicaid. You could have people who are working in the Social Security department and, during a government shutdown, your Social Security checks should come, but you could have people, especially given the federal employee layoffs that they've had, you might not receive your Social Security checks timely. There are federal employees who don't go to work during a government shutdown. And these are people who, many of them black and brown people, the disproportionately black and brown people. Black people represent nearly 20% of the federal government workforce. Brown people, about 14%. If they don't go to work, they don't get paid. And so, they're going to lose out. They're going to miss out. You do have things like Medicaid, like I said, Medicare, disability. They continue, but if you don't have people there, if administration is slowed down, you might not get your checks timely. There are people who, when you look at food supports and programs like that, you may not see that. In education, people handling like civil rights cases, they may not be handling discrimination cases. So what it all comes down to is who's considered an essential worker and who's not considered an essential worker, and then what is the work that they're doing and how you could actually be directly impacted by that. You could see, like I just said, like if you had a situation where thousands of employees have already been let go, then you're just going to see a further slowdown in critical services that may be coming to your community. Food inspections, we talk about food and we talk about food supports and things like that. People who do food inspections make sure that the food that we're eating is not, is not contaminated. They are furloughed during a government shutdown, which means that, food would be slowed down, prices might go up, or we just might see that, food that's coming through that shouldn't be coming through actually gets through. So there's a direct impact and then there's a slowdown impact. It's problematic, hugely.
And it's being controlled by some of the players on the stage, starting with Donald Trump. Let's take a break. We'll be right back going to the phones and reading some of your messages on the live stream message page. Keeping it real. Sharpton, Jones, Austin. Be right back. Keep it real. Hi, this is Reverend Al Sharpton. Be ready for the National Action Network's National Convention, April 2nd through the 5th, 2025, in New York at the Sharpton. This year, and the 57th anniversary of the assassination of Dr. King, they're trying to take back everything he stood and died for. We convene every year in April to make sure they know that they killed the dreamer, not the dream. We have workshops on everything from business development to dealing with our legal needs, from police reform all the way to how we deal with sentencing, how we deal with immigration, how we deal with the arts and entertainment. We have big names that come every year, but don't come for the big names, come for the big plans and the big execution. Register now, because with this year, as we are under assault with DEI, under assault with ending the Civil Rights Division of the Justice Department, under assault with now consent decrees and all are neutralized. If there ever was a time that you should come to a National Action Network convention, now's the time. We don't need a lot of philosophizing. We don't need a lot of showing how smart you are. We need action. We plan action and then we go and do action. I'm looking for you. Go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net. We have no registration fee. You don't pay to register. Just get here and let's get it on. National Action Network Convention, April 2nd through the 5th. I'm going to look for you there.
So who is Al Sharpton anyway? Who is this 33-year-old preacher without a church?
A number of black New Yorkers as well. He is little more than a pudgy exhibitionist who can be counted on to show up, bullhorn in hand, at every racial incident.
I often quote Mark Twain saying, the two most important moments in life is the moment you are born and the moment you find out why you were born. I had a very troubling conversation the other day that prompted me to do this little video. Young man that I've known a while came to me and he was crushed. I mean, really crushed, because people were criticizing his work. He's in the ministry, but he's also an actor. And he said he couldn't understand why people were jumping all over, criticizing him, trying to find scandalous and derogatory things about him. And I told him, I said, you know, you're very young. You don't know the road I've traveled. They call me everything but a child of God.
A blabbermouth, a loudmouth, too flamboyant, an agitator, a racist,
I had to learn.
Yeah, right.
I was not defined by how others saw me. I was defined by how I saw myself and whether I was being true to myself. Some of you watching this don't like me. And it doesn't matter as long as I know what I'm doing and I like me for being real. So I'm doing this video to say to you, whoever you are and whatever you do, you may not be in ministry or social justice, none of this stuff, but don't live your life worried about opposition or people that don't like you. You can turn that around. Use me as an example. The same people that call me a scam artist, a con artist, a sellout, or racial hustler and all, I kept going. And the people I respected started respecting and publicly embracing my work.
When Coretta Scott King, the widow of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., had this to say about Al Sharpton.
A leader who has protested injustice with a passionate, unrelenting commitment to nonviolent action in the spirit and tradition of Martin Luther King Jr. And I am talking about your leader, our leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
The other thing that hasn't changed is the National Action Network's commitment to fight injustice and inequality here in New York City and across America. And that's not only a testament to Reverend Sharpton, it's a testament to all of you who are here tonight.
First and foremost, to Reverend Sharpton. I saw him when he first came on the scene, and I have marveled at his tenacity at the development of his intellect and his devotion to our movement, and much he has contributed to the world we are experiencing. I am honored, and I must say that when I had my debate with Dr. King on the issue of the church and religion, he didn't warn me that after his departure, his space would be filled by another preacher, and that preacher would be Al Sharpton.
All you want in life is people that matter to you to say you did all right. And more important, that you can look in the mirror and say you did all right.
Thank you, Rev. Thanks for that introduction. Look, we've known each other for a long time. I'm grateful not only for your leadership and partnership, but quite frankly, more importantly, for your friendship. And thanks to all of you, members of our nation's most important civil rights organization.
You have been, over all of your years, such an extraordinary leader. You are a voice of truth, a voice of conscience, a voice of practicality around what we must address and what we can do. And I thank you so much for your friendship.
I remember that most of the youth around Al's age, he was about 12, wanted to be like Connie Hawkins, a great basketball player, legend, or Earl the Pearl, or Clyde Frazier. Al wanted to be like Adam Powell, a powerful preacher with a social justice gospel. He was very close to, at that time, the Reverend William Augustus Jones, powerful preacher and social justice advocate, and Reverend Gardner Taylor State right down the street, and Bishop Washington, whose church he came from, and Reverend Sandy Ray. He wanted to be like these giant preachers. He wanted them to have the edge, however, of the King's social justice dimension. He wanted to be like them, now he's one of them. Perhaps taller than most of them because of the risks he has taken and the reward God has given him with his gift. I remember so well that I first escorted him to jail. He was around 13 years old with the jail fighting the ANP. He was in the lineage of our struggle. He grew up in it. We didn't just see him on TV one night. He didn't happen. He came bottom up, not top down.
Keeping it real, keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton. We're back. Attorney Jennifer Jones Austin is our co-host. Jenny, before I go back to the phones, one of the things that I've been saying, both on this show and in speeches, is that we're looking at a real specific, thought-out plan by the right wing to bring us back to the pre-1950s. When you see Donald Trump propose that we ought to dismantle the Department of Education and leave it to the states to educate, it's up to them. And then his Secretary of Education, McMahon, who comes out as a professional entrepreneur over wrestling. She comes out of wrestling. That was her business. Now she's over the education of the country, but she doesn't have to worry about that because she's there to dismantle the Department of Education. We're talking about to dismantle the Department of Education and return all educational business, curriculums, all of that to the states. It's states' rights. That's what Brown versus the Board of Education was all about. The state said blacks couldn't go to certain schools. Brown versus Board of Education, 1954 Supreme Court decision that Thurgood Marshall and others argued was that the federal government can supersede states in terms of education. Trump is regressing that or redoing that or breaking that down. Explain that, because when people talk about Project 2025 and read the almost 900 pages, the bottom line is they're talking about let's go back to pre-1954, pre-1964, pre-1965, these pieces of legislation. I had a business meeting last night, some of the business persons that support NAN, and one of them had been to the meeting in Washington with the corporate leaders, white and a few blacks. and said that one of the big CEOs asked Trump, when he talks about America's golden age, when is he talking about? And said Trump said 1873, I think he said, to 1920 something. That's when the railroads explosions and exploded as an entity, and we began making this kind of money. It's also when blacks had been put back in segregation and the and Reconstruction was over. That's what he said, and that's what he's trying to do, Jenny.
What a lot of people don't necessarily appreciate is that the Federal Department of Education is not as old as public school education. And it was created in the main for the express purpose of ensuring that there would be equality in education across the states. We've got to remember that you go back to Brown v. Board. We had a situation where we had inequality in the form of the funding of schools, inequality when it came to curriculum and the teachers, when it came to class size, when it came to the how modern, how effective were, how modern were the schools. You go back to Mississippi and you visit the Jackson, Mississippi Museum of Civil Rights, and you will see an example of what schools looked like in the 50s for white children compared to what they looked like for black children. In the 50s, you had children in Mississippi in schools that had dirt paved floors, as compared to modern state-of-the-art facilities in the white communities. So the Department of Education's main purpose since its inception has been to ensure equality in education, making sure that funding that is disseminated through the Department of Education centers on improving and addressing racial inequality in education, as well as inequality that comes to persons, and this is all based on civil rights. Children who have disabilities, learning disabilities, physical disabilities, as well as ensuring access to college for lower income children, as well as supports for children who are in lower income communities, where there is not sufficient money that comes through the states. So here's what happens. With the way that education is primarily funded, it's through the states and it's through towns and counties, through property taxes. So what does that look like? If you are affluent and you live in a predominantly white affluent community, the funding that is going to be there for your children, for the education, for the teachers, the paraprofessionals, the extracurricular supports, is going to be significantly higher. Still today in America, predominantly black segregated schools receive $23 billion less in funding. And that's because we've got inequity in funding education that is largely handled at the state and the local level. Federal government is to be in place to ensure that we bring about greater equality, greater equity. So when they are trying to close down the Federal Department of Education, essentially they don't want anybody looking at these persisting inequality issues,
right?
Addressing discrimination against black children, addressing discrimination against children because of their disabilities. They don't want the funding that has been made available through Congress to support lower income communities where we don't have local property dollars that can shore up those schools. They want to ensure that our children are not learning, that they do not have a quality educational experience. And what we know in America is that if your public schools, to which the majority of our children go, if those schools are not ensuring and providing children with quality education in the young years, then they are not going to succeed. When it comes to graduating high school, they will not succeed in college, and they will not have a chance at true economic opportunity and security. They know what they're doing. Canceling the Department of Education, who's now going to ensure that the schools are providing a quality education? Who's going to be there to ensure that the money that the federal government has allocated to address the inequities in funding from state to state, county to county, are shored up and children have the resources that they need, especially in low-income schools? Who's going to be there to ensure this? It's an over $1 billion program for Pell Grants. Frankly, the student loan debt repayment, it is one of the largest assets that the country has, better than $1 trillion. Who's going to be there to manage that? They know what they're doing by eroding the federal Department of Education. It's going to take a big hit and further impact equality in education for black and brown children and for children with learning disabilities and other disabilities.
Let's go to George in Georgia. George.
Mm-hmm. How you doing, Reverend Sharpton?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Oh, I'm pretty well. I heard you a couple of phone calls back. You was talking to a gentleman, and y'all were talking about how, you had a lot of our people you called talking about calling in the show saying, "Oh, we need reparations and this and that and other thing," and now you don't hear from them no more, and it's sort of like what me and you talked about before, maybe a week or so back, is that those people are paid people. Those people are paid to do that. You know what I'm saying? They paid to kind of agitate. Oh, we're not going to vote for nobody unless they give us a reparation. And I know, and if you notice, he did it the other day ago. Me and you talked about it before. He was talking about, I think he was talking about Ukraine or something. I'm talking about Donald Trump.
Right.
And he just went off the whole subject and said, transgender. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
And I mean, you talked about that before, and that's how they was suckering a lot of our people into. But this is what the Democrats need to do. They need to call them on the carpet. They need to. Some of these politicians need to step to them on TV or one of them here and say, "What you want us to do with the transgenders?
Right.
What you want us to do? Kill them? That's what you want us to do? That's what you want to do? And you know what I'm saying? Put them on the spot. What they want to do with them?
Yep.
You understand what I'm saying, Reverend Sharpton?
Absolutely.
All that distraction bullshit. And see, that's how he did this dude. See, this dude can say whatever he want to say. He can say he can tell Chuck Schumer that you're not a Jew.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He can tell him that. But if I tell Chuck Schumer he ain't a Jew, then I'm an anti-Semite, and I got evidence to prove he ain't no Jew. I mean, excuse me, this ain't got nothing to do with your program. You're not endorsing nothing I'm saying. But I can go to the science and to the history and show. But Donald Trump can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Nor does he have to.
What I'm saying.
Nor do they require him to do that. But
but that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, but he's never anti-Semite. He's not anti-black. He is just all right with everybody. And some clowns that call talk radio during the elections, because they don't call now, let them say that. They are sanctifying the demise of their own community. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton, Jones Austin. Be right back.
Breaking news. The issues, the stories affecting.
The more you grind, the more you realize that people look and behave exactly like the choices they make every day. Whatever your choices are, how you eat, how you exercise, how you handle your temperament, how you handle challenges, whether you're disciplined, all of that is reflected in how you appear and how you behave every day. Your daily choices. That's why no matter where I am and no matter how much I have to do, I stay on my grind, working out, watching my diet, and trying to deal with my temperament because my behavior is a reflection of my choices that I make every day. And I don't worry about people being in opposition. People that oppose you are the ones that believe in your power and your potential more than anyone. If they would oppose something that didn't have some force and power with it. So make your daily choices carefully and be very loyal and committed to the choices you make.
Hi, this is Reverend Al Sharpton. Be ready for the National Action Network's National Convention, April 2nd through the 5th, 2025, in New York at the Sharpton. This year, and the 57th anniversary of the assassination of Dr. King, they're trying to take back everything he stood and died for. We convene every year in April to make sure they know that they killed the dreamer, not the dream. We have workshops on everything from business development to dealing with our legal needs, from police reform all the way to how we deal with sentencing, how we deal with immigration, how we deal with the arts and entertainment. We have big names that come every year, but don't come for the big names, come for the big plans and the big execution. Register now. Because with this year, as we are under assault with DEI, under assault with ending the Civil Rights Division of the Justice Department, under assault with now consent decrees and all are neutralized, if there ever was a time that you should come to a National Action Network convention, now's the time. We don't need a lot of philosophizing. We don't need a lot of showing how smart you are. We need action. We plan action and then we go and do action. I'm looking for you. Go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net. We have no registration fee. You don't pay to register. Just get here and let's get it on. National Action Network Convention, April 2nd through the 5th. I'm going to look for you there. No justice. No justice. No justice. What do we want? What do we want?
We are the sons and the daughters. We gotta stand up and make it loud. Just like our God told the Pharaoh, let my people go, go. We are a new generation from the ones who have come before. He's calling us into freedom. Let my people
Reverend have done this work. I've been with Reverend all these years. Over 40-something years, children.
That's right.
Every time Reverend went to jail, I went to jail.
That's right.
Right here in this very hall, we decided we was gonna tie up. New Jersey, New York, I sat in the tunnel. Me and Carl Bragg, 32 BJ, got arrested. Me and Reverend, and they put me in there, brought me a bologna sandwich about 6:30. I started beating on the wall, I wanted pizza. So they went and got Kelly and they said, put Dukes and Sharpton out of here. But they didn't know we was gonna stay till everybody come out.
That's right.
So me and Reverend, we had CND in the corner, they couldn't move. We stayed there. So when I went before the judge, that was my third time, the late Michael Harder said to me, Hazel, don't come back to the courthouse no more. The judge gonna put you in jail. When Reverend came back from Puerto Rico, I was there.
That's right.
To meet him, greet him. Ain't no need of you coming here on Saturdays, wasting Reverend time if you don't go out and vote this time. This is our moment. So I said, I'm going and voting, I'm coming back by here to see Reverend. Because I don't know what the 5th is going to be. Because he said he comes like a thief in the night. So I didn't wait till the 5th. I woke up this morning with freedom on my mind. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Love you, Ray.
Love you. Hazel Dukes. 92 and still on the front line. Good God Almighty.
She earned her crown. Let Hazel rest now. She can put down a cross and pick up a crown. You did a good fight, Hazel. Stand up and get crowned. Stand up and crown Queen Hazel.
Thank you for joining us for Weekdays Live with Reverend Al Sharpton. Take the time to share this broadcast right now. Tell your friends it's time to keep it real with Reverend Al. Comment your questions now in the chat or call Reverend Al Sharpton directly on air at 877-532-5797. Now stay tuned for Reverend Al.
This is Reverend Al Sharpton. As you watch the broadcast, support National Action Network. Go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net and be involved. You can join, take your membership right online, www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Getting ready to start the program, but we need you to be part of the movement. Attorney Jennifer Jones Austin is our co-host. And Jennifer, on our message board on the live stream, Roderick McCrae writes, these idiots are putting our lives in danger. Anybody knows that if you're trying to cut the fat from a budget, you must first do a complete audit to see what needs to be cut. That sounds like good sense to me, Jenny. These people come in with an agenda, not an audit. And I think that Roderick is right.
He's spot on. He's spot on. This is, remember Trump telling us that he didn't know anything about Project 2025 and it wasn't his plan. There are websites now out there. There are Project 2025 trackers that literally show you how he is making good. He and Elon Musk and their cronies are making good on all of the initiatives that were put forth under Project 2025. It is a deliberate, willful, and intentional design to maintain and reinstate power in the hands of a few to the detriment of the masses. And we're not just talking about black and brown people. They don't, I think that people who are Caucasian need to understand that if you don't have a lot of zeros in your bank account, you're going to fall prey to these actions like every person of color will as well.
That's exactly right. Let's go to George in Georgia. George, you're keeping it real with Sharpton and Jones Austin. Is George there?
Yeah, Jay.
Hello?
Okay, I think he hung up.
I think I heard something that I didn't. Let me go to Yvette in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Yvette.
Refresh your screen, sir.
I don't hear Yvette. All right, let me go there and let me go to Lynn in Detroit. Detroit. Lynn.
Yes, hello, Reverend Sharpton, and hello, Attorney Austin. I want to call about Project 2025 as well. Project 2025 has a 180-day playbook, and that is why they are accelerating this destruction of our institutions, and why they are pushing the economy into a recession deliberately. You know, Reverend Sharpton, recessions, that is when the majority of wealth is transferred. And the rich end up buying assets at a discount. And so they're deliberately bringing down the stock market. They're pushing the economy into a recession where they can buy houses, land, the minerals, the lumber. They can transfer all of this and they can purchase it at little or no cost. And if you look at any recession that we've had, that is always what happens. The COVID recession, the rich got richer, the poor got poorer. The 2008 and 9 recession, the rich got richer, the poor got poorer. And so that is what they're doing. They're destroying everything so they can transfer the wealth and take over all of these institutions, take over all of the contracts, take over anything that they can buy. They want to get it, and they want to get it at the cheapest price possible. And then if they build it back up, then they'll sell it at a higher price. It's like the stock market is selling off now. Well, somebody was selling it when it was up high. They deliberately are bringing it down. They're destroying the economy to bring it down, as well as other things. It's financial issue. But the Democrats have an obligation to say this and to keep saying this. They need to let the American people know that this is Project 2025, 180-day playbook. The playbook is out there, 180-day playbook.
And it's in writing. You're absolutely right. Thank you for your call. It's in writing. It's right out there. Let me go on the message line. Kevin Abati says, I connect with Reverend Al because I want to see leaders motivated by priorities, not just electability. You're right about that. That's what I try to do. Let's go to Virginia, to David. David, line 3. You're keeping it real with Sharpton and Jones Austin.
Hey, good afternoon, Reverend Sharpton and Attorney Jones Austin. Yeah, so I put a comment because it's been weighing heavily on me. You know, my position is real strong about this, that black people, you know, we don't really talk about doing anything for ourselves. And what I'm talking about is, like, I don't see any reason why, after all this time, we haven't put our money together and bought acres upon acres of land that we own, that we don't have to ask anybody for. We bought the land and we can start developing it, doing things with it, like building houses and stuff like that. Also, hospitals. I don't see why we don't have a hospital.
Well, first of all, I don't disagree with that. I just say that in order to do any of that, it's not either or, it's both and. You can't build a hospital, you can't buy acres of land or nothing without engaging with the politics of that county. These people ain't going to let you just walk out there and buy land now, or just let you open up a hospital. So you have to do both. You're exactly right. That ought to be the goals, but the means to the goals we also have to do.
Yeah, but we haven't tried though either. I don't suppose
Well,
we've
I don't know.
tried.
I don't know that some people haven't tried. I think that we've had some of the wrong people in office that would not follow through. I've known some groups that tried to do hospitals and other things, but I think you're right. We need to highlight it more. I don't disagree with that.
Also, education. I think education is real important. Like, forget what they doing. We don't need anybody to tell us how to educate our children. We already see they want to miseducate our children. I don't see why we can't come up with a curriculum. All these genius talking heads out there.
All right. Well, who is the we that should come up with the curriculum, and how should we determine who are the ones that we want to set up the education for our children?
I think that we need to come up with a curriculum that
Who is we?
It's in the best interest of black people.
But how? Which black people?
All of us. It don't matter.
We gonna have a meeting of all of us? How do we structure that?
It don't have to. It can start. It starts with one person, two people. Who see? It's about the goal. The goal is to get to these young kids' minds.
I understand the goal. I'm trying to deal. You will never establish the goal if you don't deal with the process. Explain to me who is going to do that. Who decides that?
I got some people in mind. I got some people in mind.
All right. So how do we decide that the people you got in mind are the people that we are going to empower to do that? By what process?
Well, I'm glad you asked, because the education is going to be such that if not you, but if a person doesn't want to come get on board or don't want their children on board.
On board of what? What do you mean you glad I asked? Answer the question. Get on board of what? Based on what structure? Based on what structure? Based on what structure? How do we structure that?
Educational structure.
And who's funding that?
It shouldn't cost that much, you know.
But if it costs little, where do we get that from?
Out there, internet and stuff like that. Pardon me.
Where do we get that? Whatever it costs, big or little? Where do we get it from?
Well, I guess we can fundraise. How do people get money?
All right.
You know.
So what I'm saying is that whatever you say, whatever you try to do, we got to have a process, David. And that's what I'm saying. When we talk about people, well, I didn't want to do this with this one. I don't want to do that. People that are out there doing what they believe is doing it in a process to get it done. Just having a great idea and not having a process to make it happen is just a great idea. You just daydreaming. I think your goals are right, but you got to think through process. When I was young, I wanted to see certain things done. That's why I've developed an organization to try to develop a process to get some things done. Nobody cared about how much I dreamed. Nobody cared about how mad I was. What they cared is when you develop a process in that you can make it real. Otherwise, you just playing with black people. Thank you for your call.
You got to understand.
I understand. I keep asking you how we going to do it.
Everything we see started with a thought. So
exactly. That's what I just told you. The way I thought is that I got a process to try to make some of it real. You're exactly right. What I'm saying is once you have the thought, how do you make the thought real?
One step at a time.
And one step at a time, you got to know which way you stepping. Thank you. Let me go to Mr. White in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, WNOV. Mr. White.
Yes. Hello.
Yes, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, Reverend Sharpton, how you doing today? I hear you, man. You doing well. And I just asked that, but I know how you doing, and I really appreciate you and everything you do. That process, a lot of people don't understand the process like you just explained it, but I bet you he understands now.
Well, I hope so. And I think he's sincere. But
he's very sincere.
Yeah, we got to make this stuff happen. We can't just wish it into being.
And that's what happened to me earlier when I called. I waited to get on the line, and then this young man is just circling around me. Young man, looking in his face, he's looking in mine, but he's angry.
Yeah.
This young man, and while I was talking to him, you had picked up. You had picked me up out the queue, I guess.
Right.
And I'm directing him, but then when I turned to you, you were gone. But then I had to go back to him because he was sent to me, actually. And it's just what I was talking to you about yesterday. I wanted to check and see, did you get a chance to pull down that movie?
Wait a minute. We talked to a lot of people. Yes, which movie?
Oh, yes, you did. Okay. Civil War.
Oh, I had them pull it down up. You know, I was out at the funeral till late. They pulled it down last night. It's on my iPad. I'm going to watch it tonight.
Yeah, I knew you were busy too, and just everything.
No, it's down on my iPad. I'm gonna try to watch it tonight. If I don't watch it tonight, I'll turn it on the morning after I work out. I want to see it. You got me enticed on that one, and I'm gonna make Jennifer. I'm gonna get her a copy of it too.
It's Project 25.
It's a movie, Jenny. Civil War. Okay. He says it's Project 2025.
Ooh.
We got to see it. All right. Thank you for your call again. Reminding me, but I have it. It's on my iPad. Keeping it real. Sharpton, Jones Austin. Be right back. Hi, this is Reverend Al Sharpton. Be ready for the National Action Network's National Convention, April 2nd through the 5th, 2025, in New York at the Sheraton. This year, and the 57th anniversary of the assassination of Dr. King, they're trying to take back everything he stood and died for. We convene every year in April to make sure they know that they killed the dreamer, not the dream. We have workshops on everything from business development to dealing with our legal needs, from police reform all the way to how we deal with sentencing, how we deal with immigration, how we deal with the arts and entertainment. We have big names that come every year, but don't come for the big names, come for the big plans and the big execution. Register now, because with this year, as we are under assault with DEI, under assault with ending the Civil Rights Division of the Justice Department, under assault with now consent decrees and all the neutralized. If there ever was a time that you should come to a National Action Network convention, now's the time. We don't need a lot of philosophizing. We don't need a lot of showing how smart you are. We need action. We plan action, and then we go and do action. I'm looking for you. Go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net. We have no registration fee. You don't pay to register. Just get here, and let's get it on. National Action Network Convention, April 2nd through the 5th. I'm going to look for you there. Stop telling yourself you're not confident of what you could do. When people with half your skills and a quarter of your talent have gone on to create big waves in life, if you look at them and you know you're more gifted than them, then what is your problem? You are looking for someone to come and drag you into success. You've got to use what you have, which is, in my judgment, more skillful than others I've known in your area. Use that and believe in that, and your confidence will build up as you get going and start doing. And don't chase the spotlight. Sharpen your skills. Live in your purpose. And you'll get so good the spotlight will be chasing you. Be so good they can't help but talk about you and put the spotlight on you. You don't get your energy from chasing the spotlight. You get your energy by chasing your purpose. The spotlight and other adulation will come with it. Have a great day. One of the things that we're going to deal with is this DEI, and deal with how we target a company that has joined the anti-DEI movement. Now, there are other efforts going on, and I support them. I'm not against nobody doing whatever they think is right. But I know how to do a boycott. I'm not talking about, I support what a bishop is doing in Georgia, Reggie Jackson, and my friend and brother Jamal Bryant doing the 40-day don't buy. That's great. Somebody else is doing shutdown on the 28th. That's great. They put my name out there. I know about it, but I'm not against it. But what we must do is we're going to convene at the network convention where we have now a commission that we have started in NAN on King Day, that on 90 days later, which will be in the middle of our convention, we will give the report on a company that has a high level of consumer doubt that comes out of our community and a small margin of profit. We know then that we can take a real impact because he cannot have his margin of profit turn into a loss and sustain itself. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to announce we're going to buy some stock in some of these companies and go to the stockholders meeting. So all of y'all here today, I'm going to buy some shares and we go into the stockholders meeting and stand up in the meeting and say, how do you sell in our community, but you won't give contracts to our people? You won't hire our people. You won't deal with the C-suites. So we're going to have a multi-pronged strategy. Why don't you advertise on black media? We're going across the board and that we're laying out the plan. And we got people those 4 days. People that are watching that want to come, all you have to do is register at www.nationalactionnetwork.net, or you can call the toll-free number. You can call now. People are at the phones now at 1-877-626-4651. Where Frederick Douglass laid. Don't stand on the ground where Rosa Parks laid, unless you're going to really do what it is we committing to do. Because we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against wickedness, principalities, wickedness in high places. I want everyone, if you are resolved, to just raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name, Al Sharpton, do solemnly commit that I will stand up and rise up in the name of Dr. King, in the name of Frederick Douglass, in the name of Rosa Parks, and I will defend equality for all, diversity, equality, inclusion, women's rights, LGBTQ rights, immigration rights. I commit, I take this oath that I will not become like those I'm fighting. I'm not for violence, but I will peacefully stand against those that want to bring us down. I commit this in the house of God, on this sacred ground. So help me God. Congratulate yourself. While you're standing, I want all the ministers to come. Let's join arms when they would march in the South.
God has brought you over. Anybody?
You're live, sir.
Keeping it real, keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Attorney Jennifer Jones Austin is our co-host, and I'm reading some of your messages on live stream at www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Let's go back to the phones, Jenny. Let's go to my Ace Boone Coon in Chicago on the west side. He says it's the best side. Frank?
Yes, sir. Brother Reverend Al, my pal, and my sister, Ms. Jennifer Jones Austin. Good afternoon to you both.
Good afternoon.
Let me hear your voice, man. You know I missed talk to you. I ain't spoke to you in a couple of weeks now. I've been down. Is she there, Fab? She still there? Is Ms. Austin still there?
I'm right here with you.
Can I hear that sweet voice? My sister. Thank you. And Reverend Al, I'm in such a good mood because, correct me if I'm wrong, you know what I'm saying, Reverend Al, we are in a stronger position. And Ms. Austin, we're in a stronger position than what we realize. When you sit back and analyze this, Donald Trump overplayed his hand. Now, we going out the House of Representatives, correct. We can't get it. But why just stop there? Our position is so strong. These people are so piping hot, mad, and scared from what they see and the devastation undone. If this not enough to make a Republican term vote Democrat, nothing is. Reverend Al, we can flip both houses back to Democrat. And I'm going to tell you something. Our position is so strong, we can get a 60-seat majority in the Senate. But we need to understand we got to put boots on the ground. On the ground. And when I said let's not be split, let's not sitting on team. This is my thought. Let's not sitting on a team of black people in the Republican red district. We got to send a team. We got to put white boots on the ground. Reverend Al, these people are so hot and mad and scared of these Republicans and Donald Trump, and these Republicans let them get away what they're doing because everything Donald Trump is doing is impeachable. I heard one call say earlier, yes, everything he's doing is impeachable because what he's doing, he's actually launched a domestic terrorist attack on our government. He is dismantling agencies that he can't get rid of through legislation. So the Constitution said once something becomes law, it is law. You cannot withhold funds to make that agency, that department, dysfunctional. You cannot fire half the workforce to render that department or that agency dysfunctional. That's serving the same function as repealing it without doing it legally. He has been taking an oath to uphold the Constitution, not to dismantle government, but to strengthen it. Like Stephens and Reverend Al, he fired half the IRS to keep them all in the rich. Now he's firing all the people in the Board of Education, circumventing Brown versus the Board of Education. Reverend Al, remember, and Ms. Also remember when they was fighting so hard to keep the Affordable Health Care Act from coming into law, right? But once it came into law, there was a little hiccup where they had a problem bringing it online. Remember, the Republicans were the first ones screaming bloody murder. Why come just not online the way it should be online? Because they know now there's law. Government's job is to make sure it functions. So everything Donald Trump doing is impeachable, including trying to promote a cellular tester on federal ground. If Obama done it, Jackie said, Reverend Al, he already be facing armed impeachment. This is the point I'm trying to make, okay? We are in a stronger position because we're going to get the House. If we play our cards right, we can get the Senate with a 60-seat majority, which means now Hakeem Jeffries is Speaker of the House. Guess what? We can file articles of impeachment against Donald Trump and J.D. Vance as co-conspirators, and we can convict both of them in the Senate. This should be our ultimate goal, to stop this dead in its tracks. We can convict both of them. Now, Speaker Hakeem Jeffries become President of the United States of America because Donald Trump has been impeached. J.D. Vance as a co-conspirator because he co-signing everything. Everything this man is doing is impeachable. And even if we got to go back to the Mueller reports and bring back what he did, impeach him back then, impeach him now, well, now we can do that, Mr. Officer. You can speak on that. But the point I'm trying to make this right here, people, we are in a stronger position than what we're giving ourselves credit for or even recognize. We can flip both these houses as a Democrat. If you got hundreds of thousands of lives that's been devastated, you got millions out there wondering, are we going to be next? And yes, the answer is true. Like the sister said, 180-day project that they launched, Reverend Al, all this right here in Pennsylvania, and this should be giving us the power to take both houses of Congress, impeach this guy and J.D. Vance, and convict them in the Senate. If we
let Attorney Jones Austin respond.
Okay.
You know, the first thought that I have on this is that we've got to be very careful, right? Because we remember last go round, he was impeached twice, and what did it get us? And what I mean by that is that he's got that mark. He's got a scarlet letter, if you will, on his chest as the first and only president in United States history to have been impeached twice. But remember, the Senate was in control, and so an impeachment is like an indictment. It says that you are, it appears you've committed certain crimes against the United States. You've abused your power. And so now we're going to impeach you and bring an indictment, but then it's got to be heard by the Senate for it to be taken up and there to be the possible removal. As long as you've got a Democrat, you've got Democrats who are in the minority in both the House and in the Senate, you're not going to get an impeachment order through. The other thing
you missed something I said. You missed something very important that I said. Mm-hmm. What I said is we are in position to capture both houses of Congress. That's the House of Representatives.
But what I'm trying to tell you is that we may be in position, but we're not there anytime soon right now. It's not.
We got the upcoming. I'm talking about the midterm election, Ms. Austin. Every 2 years,
what you're saying.
A third of the Senate is up for election. Am I right or wrong? Every 2 years, a third of the Senate is up for election.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying in the present moment we don't have that. The other thing that we're going to have to do, or what you'll have to see, is that he is abusing his power. What we have to look at is whether or not the courts are going to keep pushing back, and if the courts push back and then he goes beyond,
let's take a break, sir.
Told him he can do so. As for an example, when he issued the executive order around birthright citizenship, the court pushed back and said you can't do it. Right. You can't erase that part of the Constitution.
That's where the fight is right now. Then we go to the election. I think both of you are right. Let me take my break. Thank you for your call, Frank. We'll be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton right after this.
Country, talking to the radio announcers, the church people and the street people, telling them that God has smiled on me. God has smiled on you if you got breath in your body. If he woke you up this morning and started you on your way. But I want to tell you some stories of people that God smiled on. We know the story of Dr. Martin Luther King, how he started way back in Montgomery, Alabama in 1955, trying just to get dignity, trying to get respect. And he went all the way to the mountaintop. But he didn't forget about the brothers in the valley. He didn't forget about those trapped in the alley. And I hear Brother Martin King say, God has smiled on me. He's been good to me. Let me tell you, God has smiled on me. It's been so good to me. Dr. King went on. Another man stepped into the forefront by the name of John F. Kennedy, who rose up and said, let's not stand back. Let's not wait for a handout. Let's wait for a way out. He said, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. He said, don't us gravel and don't us moan, because God doesn't smile on us. Let me say it. God has smiled on me. He has set me free. Let me say it. God has smiled on me. One more time. I want to say this song. I'll say God has smiled on me. He has set me free. Get up. God has smiled on me. Then I went on backstage at the Apollo Theater and I saw a man come out. They call him the King of Soul, James Brown. And James Brown said, Reverend, don't you worry. I started out as a shoe shine boy. I started out as a convict. I started out uneducated. But I learned to sing my song. And I sung it all over the world. I told him it was a man's world. I told him about the big payback. I told him Papa got a brand new bag. And all over the world, they can hear my voice. But Reverend, don't you frown. Don't you bow your head. Tell him what you told me, Brother Brown. I said, now God has smiled on me. He has set me free. Yeah. He has set me free. God smiled on me. You've been so good to me. Then I went home and I told my mother what Brown told me. And she said, son, even though we don't have much, we don't need relief. All we need is belief. And she said, he didn't tell you no lie, because the Lord will take care of you. God sits high, but he looks down low. And every time you get discouraged for you and look toward the heavens, lift your eyes to the hills and say, God, 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 don't smile on me. Now then, the God has smiled on me. He has set me free. God has smiled on me. And that has been so good to me. Yes, he has. I say, God smiled on me. He has set me free. And I know all over the country, smile on me. We need jobs. We need a way to make it. We need help. We need jobs. We need a way to make some money to feed our families and raise our bread. We need a way to survive, so we don't need crime as a survival kit. We just need a little bit. But don't give the hope up. Don't lose the faith, because God will smile on you. God will give you the strength. God will make a way for you. Adam Great Power said, keep the faith. Keep the faith, baby. I hear Robert Kennedy saying that it's not the dream of, but it's the dream that'll live on forever. Just know that God will smile on you. Dr. King had a dream. Dr. King said, I went to the mountaintop, but I didn't stop there. I looked over and saw the promised land. I hear Brother Malcolm saying, don't sit on the stoop. Stand up and be a man. Respect yourself. Be somebody. Then I hear the brothers in the Hispanic community say, I'm going to stand up and be a man. I'm going to do the best I can. I had a reaper say, I don't care what time you come home, but just give me some respect when you get there. Lord, now God has smiled on me. He has set me free. God smiled on me. You've been so good to me. Sit down. And as we move on in history, let us remember that if we look to God, God has the answer to all of our problems. God is still the same God he was years ago, and we can still make it. We can still hold on like Frederick Douglass did. We can still keep him on like Martin Luther King did. We can still ride on the way everyone that made it did. They didn't have much, but they had a whole lot of faith. They didn't have money, but they had a lot of determination. We know that God will look out for his children, that God will make a way out of no way.
lives.
Keeping it real, keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton. Attorney Jennifer Jones Austin is our co-host. Don't forget, Saturday and Sunday, watch Politics Nation with Al Sharpton live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Saturday and Sunday, we have the best and the brightest and those in the thick of it on the show every week, and the ones that are in the middle of what's going on right then that can give us answers, and I'm certainly going to ask the questions and give the answers myself to those we disagree. Saturdays and Sundays, 5 p.m. Eastern Time, MSNBC, Politics Nation with Al Sharpton. You in the tri-state area, meet me Saturday morning at the Saturday Action Rally. So much to talk about, so much to deal with. We may be in the middle of a government shutdown. We may be in the middle of other issues that will affect the the general budget as well as specific budgetary items and how we deal with it locally as well as nationally. Be at the Saturday Action Rally at the House of Justice in Harlem, 145th Street and Lenox Avenue. And, of course, you that are not in the New York area, you can watch it live on Impact Television or www.nationalactionnetwork.net live stream. And the National Action Network National Convention, we're less than 3 weeks away, and we have some of the people you really hear about, but they'll be there to do the plenary sessions, to do the workshops. Attorney Ben Crump, Stacey Abrams, Congressman Al Green, who just was censored for disrupting Trump's speech, he'll be there. The chair of the Congressional Black Caucus, Yvette Clark, will be there. Of course, we're going to have Patti LaBelle will be honored. Dr. Michael Eric Dyson will be doing a workshop. Tatiana Ali will be at our women's luncheon. The list goes on and on. Got 7 state attorney generals that are coming to talk about how they are going to deal with Trump by not allowing whatever he does to go down in their states, how they're going to litigate it, and how they're going to put up legislation and put in lawsuits to protect the interests of their people. You don't want to miss this. We have some of our leading black businessmen, some who I met last night who built some of the biggest black businesses in the country, on how we need to do our business, how we need to develop them, strengthen them. And then, of course, we're going to deal with, coming out of that convention, who we are going to put on notice that they are the ones on the list to be boycotted as we deal with this DEI. So go to the website right now, www.nationalactionnetwork.net, and sign up. It's free, but you got to sign up. And, of course, you can call the toll-free number 1-877-626-4651, 1-877-626-4651, and you can register on the phone. Registration is free, but it guarantees that if you come to a workshop and you on the registration list and the place is full, the room is full, we make sure you have a seat. Make sure you do that. If you can't do all 4 days, do 1 day, do 2 days, but get it done. All right, let's go back to the phone. Let's go to Cleveland. It's Policy Day. Todd, you're keeping it real with Sharpton and Jones Austin.
Hey, Reverend Al Sharpton, Jennifer Jones Austin. Has the head of the Department of Education expressed any interest of coming, McMahon?
We've not heard a response. No, she's not responded.
Or anybody from the Department of Education that's in the higher-ups?
No one has responded. No one in any of his cabinet positions has responded. We did invite him.
Okay. So Georgia, Illinois, and Ohio both have state education budgets, pre-K through 12, of excess of $13 billion. the District of Columbia's budget is right now $1,050,000,000 plus. I know what's about to happen to that though. But if he truly wants it to be left up to the states, since we have a federal Department of Education presently right now, the best thing to do, because he does have the power to do this, is instruct his head of Department of Education to reach out to the states to find out to what degree do they want a federal Department of Education and under what conditions. That would be a good executive order. That would give you a better understanding as a leader, Donald Trump. That would give you a much better understanding as a leader to what degree the states want a federal Department of Education and under what conditions. To just go through it and make all these cuts and firings saying that you want to leave it up to the states shows that you're not leaving it up to the states at all.
Well, I appreciate the points you're making, but the downside of that is that one of the things that they are suggesting is that what they will do is they will end the Department of Education and that they will allocate to the states through the various other agencies that may take up elements of the work of the Department of Education. Civil rights, they may send that over to the Department of Justice, they say. They'll send over funding supports for Title I, perhaps to Health and Human Services. The concern that exists there is that what likely would then happen, and one of the things that they're talking about is that they would give the states block grants. So they take the federal money that flows through the Department of Education and they would give the states block grants. The problem with block grants is that very often when states receive the block grants, they make determinations for how they want to use that money. It's like one kind of general spending pot. In some instances, it's actually experienced as like kind of unrestricted funds. So you could have a state that is supposed to get money for Title I to support children who are hail from families with low income, that they are to be there to provide funding for various programs and supports to make sure that they're getting the quality education that they need. And you could have a state turns around and says, no, we're not going to use the money that way. We're going to use it another way.
That would be left up to the state?
Exactly. So when you give states that kind of discretion, then they're free to do whatever they want to do. And so the intentionality around making sure that we reduce inequity and inequality would fall by the wayside all the more.
If the vote goes the way of a group of people that want that to happen, the issue here with me.
If what vote goes the way? What are you talking about?
So if they put out a block, they give a block grant,
right?
And then the states say, well, we want the money to be used for this thing,
right?
Based on a vote.
But
every state gets to decide how they want to use it.
Right.
And if you got a state like Georgia, or a state like Mississippi, or a state like Florida, you will not win that vote.
Right.
The reason why Brown versus the Board of Education was effective is that the states could not go against what was federally mandated. And therefore you had to deal with a Supreme Court decision that was based on what was going on with nationally. If you use it state by state, the Confederates won the states during the Civil War in order to have a Civil War.
Well, this is where I'm at with it. Most people would accept that we should have federal mandates as it applies to education. Most people would accept that are rational. And you don't have to have a high degree of understanding to come to that conclusion. But you have to, in order to leave it up to the states to make sure that it happens, is put it out there for them to discuss, debate, and then come back to it. See, we all now.
Yeah, but
we're
you
on
got to
the same
remember
page.
this. Let me just say this to you real quickly. You got to remember that in part the reason that the Department of Education was established to begin with, and that we had the Supreme Court providing in Brown v. Board that that states would have to take action to integrate, is because the states were not doing what they should be doing, and still today. I don't know if you heard me when I mentioned we still today in America have high segregation, and when you look at funding for schools, it is largely controlled by state and local property taxes. If you don't have a federal government in place that is making decisions around equity and opportunity for every community. We already have a situation where the schools in many states are failing our children. So you lose all ability to regulate that if you now turn it back over to the states.
And see, I think a critical point, Todd, that a lot of people miss, and being that I was the generation after, so I understood it better than some that came behind me, is that the fight around Brown versus Board of Education, I was born that year, so I was just there. I didn't know nothing. I just was a baby, 54, born October 3rd that year. But by the time I got around 12, 13 and got in the movement under Jennifer's father, it was explained to me they never were going to court for integration or even the marches and all. They were going for desegregation. There's a difference. Desegregation was that we have the right to do whatever we wanted like everybody else. We're paying the same tax. We have the same privilege. By doing that, you could not then segregate the educational quality because everybody was going to the same schools. As long as they had you cordoned off, they would restrict your budget, restrict what access you had in terms of books and the like. The whole movement, a bunch of hotheads to, oh, you Negroes just want to be white. No, it was about we want the same options everybody else had. Like when we said we wanted to be able to use public facilities, what that we thought white folks is sitting on the toilet don't stink, is that if we going to pay for the airport, we going to the same airport. And I think a lot of us are full of such anger that we turn on ourselves and never understand that we're talking about having the right of empowerment ourselves, just like everybody else does in this country. Without the federal government intervention, and you go back to states controlling education, you lose all that.
And even that, if separate equal ever did exist, then there wouldn't have been a Brown versus Board of Education. But separate equal just doesn't exist like that.
It does not exist, that's right.
And it didn't exist then.
Right, and it doesn't exist now.
We have to have a federal Department of Education that respects the numbers in the states of people that are coming into the voting ranks and coming into the working ranks. They need to have some even ways to move around throughout the country, not just within their state. And the Department of Education helps supply that.
All right, I'm out of time. I hear the music. Thank you, Todd. Let me thank Attorney Jennifer Jones-Austin. Let me thank all of you that called in, listened in, you that called in and couldn't get through, but hung in there anyhow. Remember, whatever you do, wherever you go, however you feel, tell somebody, tell anybody, tell everybody. Reverend Al told you personally, keep it real. Keep it real. Keep it real. I'll talk to you tomorrow.